Hello and welcome to Music and More, where we talk about great music with great musicians while having a lot of fun. My name is Elliot Moore and I am the conductor of the Longmont Symphony. We've got some great things lined up for our show today. I, along with millions of people, are missing Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Ballet this holiday season. So I thought it would be a great time to check in with my friends at the Boulder Ballet to see how they are holding up and for them to help us explore the hidden elements of dance in Tchaikovsky's symphonic music. They have created a never-before-seen choreography to Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony, just for you. Also, we will be taking a closer look at how a conductor studies a score in preparation for a concert. But first, I want to take you on a quick tour of my Christmas tree. I have a section of the tree that has a bunch of nutcracker ornaments. Well, for the nutcracker portion of the tree, it's important to have a couple of nutcrackers. So here's one of them. This is one of my all-time favorite ornaments. It is Mother Ginger with, of course, some children coming out from underneath her gigantic skirt. Here is Clara, who is holding her nutcracker. This is one of my favorite ones. Here is Clara holding the nutcracker, and I'm in the middle of this photo along with dancer Matt Helms and another dancer from the Boulder Ballet. You know, I have been missing Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker a lot this year, and this led me to reach out to my friends at the Boulder Ballet to see how they are doing and to get their take on how Tchaikovsky's symphonic music, and specifically the finale from his Fourth Symphony, has some of the same elements of dance that are found in the Nutcracker. Matt Helms has been a company dancer with Boulder Ballet for 10 years and has danced with artists from American Ballet Theater, Ballet West, Joffrey Ballet, and the Kirov Ballet. Katherine Codrescu was born and raised in Boulder. She started dancing in the Boulder Ballet at the age of 3 and became a company dancer a few months before the pandemic hit. Katherine attended intensive summer ballet programs with the Wiener Staatsballet in Vienna, Austria, starting when she was just 14 years old. Hey, Katherine and Matt, how are you guys doing today? And thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us, Elliot.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. You know, the pandemic has been a real challenge for all dancers and arts organizations. And what I'm wondering about is if the Boulder Ballet has been able to provide their audience with any kind of virtual nutcracker this season.
Yeah, we actually were able to have the privilege of partnering with the Dairy Arts Center and performing and recording a performance with the Boulder Ballet School a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually released December 13th, so this past Sunday. There's a link on the Boulder Ballet website, so you can go to boulderballet.org and find it there. Tickets are by donation, and you can see the Boulder Ballet School. Matt and I did the first act, Snowpaw, as well as another company member, and Peter Davison joined us as Drosselmeyer again.
Awesome. Well, I mean, I know the production so well, and I just love it. So I would encourage everyone to go and check that out. You know, they say that in the music of Mozart, every note that he wrote was, it was opera. And what I'm finding with Tchaikovsky is that every single note that Tchaikovsky wrote, whether it's for, you know, piano trio or chamber music or even some of his opera, so much of the music that he wrote is like ballet music. And so when I've been thinking about our production and I've been missing the Nutcracker so much this year, I've been thinking a lot about his music, and that was part of the reason that I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to choreograph some of his Fourth Symphony, from the finale of his Fourth Symphony. And so, Matt, you were kind enough to actually create an original choreography for this. And before we go much further, I want for our audience to take a look at the amazing work that you both have done. Here is the choreography to Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony, the finale.
Katherine, I have to ask, do you find that this recording, the finale of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony, lends itself well to dance, and does it have any kind of a similar feel for you to Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker?
I do think it lends itself really well. It has a lot of kind of inner facets in the music. There's a lot of notes and scales. And as you could see, there's two sections. There's a faster section at the beginning, which is very lively. It's really good for all the jumps and turns and some of the more tricks that are very intricate and interesting. And then the slower part is more of the pas, where you develop the characters and you can see a little bit more of the artistry that comes out rather than just the impressive athletic feats.
You know, when I conducted this performance, it was actually after the very first Nutcracker performance that I had ever conducted, with which both of you were in that performance. And I couldn't help, sort of at that particular spot, feel as though the music called forth this kind of elegance of dance. And Matt, of course, you were the one that created this choreography to the finale of the Fourth Symphony. And I was wondering, what was your process for creating this choreography? What was that like for you?
You know, Tchaikovsky is and will always be a genius. You know, he'll always be a masterpiece. Everything he has created, whether it's been put onto a ballet, a dance project, or live music, it's just breathtaking. For me, you know, as Katherine said, the music tells me what goes where. You know, it's a form of my artistry training that everything is musical. Everything is not always technical, but with his music, you know, you can hear some points and some scores of it where this fits here, this goes here. But at the same time, the process, I was talking to Katherine about it, where, you know, yes, it does sound very classical. It could go classical ballet, but to me, it could also go contemporary ballet.
And did you find that some of this was in some ways theatrical?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You know, Katherine and I, we've done, you know, multiple duets, you know, and Katherine and I are very, I guess we would be considered not just technical, but also emotional dancers. You know, we put a lot of our own personal life, our personal emotions into whatever we're doing.
You know, Matt, one of the things that's interesting in our relationship working together has been that I've really found that we have kind of a collaborative way of doing things. And there are times where after many rehearsals and even performances with the Nutcracker, you and I will chat and we'll say, well, what about here, taking this a little bit faster? What about slowing it down just at this spot? And we're very collaborative in that way. And I've always been so impressed with your level of artistry. And I wanted to ask you, how has this pandemic been for you? I imagine, again, that for dancers, it must be a real challenge to figure out a way to sort of socially distance with dance. Have you been able to continue your normal work, or have you needed to find some other things to do?
You know, it has been rough. You know, I'm not going to come out here and saying that it hasn't. You know, it has been rough. It has been on a day-to-day basis. You know, we don't know what could happen if we were to go back to work right away. We don't know pretty much anything, you know. But I mean, yeah, Boulder Ballet still offers, you know, online classes. They allow some of us to come into the studios to keep training. Katherine and I not only do that, but we also go to like a gym, or we, you know, do our own little personal workouts at home, whether it's jump rope or running. This is, you know, keeping what kind of physical condition that we can. But, you know, I think you and I spoke about it a while ago, that ballet, art, dance, theater, all of this has become our lives. You know, it's what a lot of us dancers know. It's, we wake up and we go to class and rehearsal, we come home, we rest, when we teach, and we go right back to it. So this is like a daily, you know, life routine, and it was taken away from us. And so a lot of us have to find new ways to support ourselves, whether it's, I myself working 12 hours, driving food around, teaching, private lessons wherever I can, whether it's at the gym, subbing for people at Boulder Ballet. So it's been a process to want to accept, knowing that I don't have a choice in this, but hopefully with the spring season coming, that we Boulder Ballet will be starting back up, doing more virtual shows, a lot more outreach shows, trying to keep the COVID guidelines to our best. That way we all stay safe, we all stay healthy.
I think I probably speak for everyone on this call that we're very hopeful with the vaccine actually getting here to Colorado now, that we may be able to start having more in-person things here before too long. So, as I mentioned, Matt, I just think of you as such an incredible artist. And so, my heart goes out to you that, you're doing some of these other things, but I also know that there is an end in sight, and we will be able to get back to more normalcy here pretty soon.
I definitely think that the arts that they should be at the top of what is considered essential. People can't go out and see movies. They can't go to art galleries. But they can't come and see, art. And the more I drive around, the more I do my side projects, the more I just talk to people in general that don't go out. They want something that they can just bring their family to, or to be able to sit around, get on their computer, get on their TV, buy a little ticket and watch and share something.
Katherine, you and I have collaborated now 3 times on Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker with the Boulder Ballet. And interestingly, twice you were in the school of the Boulder Ballet, and once, our most recent collaboration, you were in fact a company dancer. And that's a really big deal when you go from being in the school to being a company dancer. And I know that you have done now all kinds of interesting collaborations with Paul Taylor Dance Company, as well as, of course, all these things with the Boulder Ballet. But you've only been in the company actually for less than a year. And so I'm wondering, what has your experience been like as opposed to Matt, who's been with the company for over 10 years? What's your experience been like where you just become a company dancer and suddenly sort of the rug gets pulled from underneath your feet because of the pandemic?
Well, the first 2 weeks were actually the first month was such a relief. It was like, finally I have the time to catch up on laundry, deep clean my room, get my life back in order. Like, I can finally catch up on everything that I haven't been able to do during the season because you're working so much. You get up really early in the morning, you go to class, you're there at class and rehearsal, and you can't really do anything, and then you go home, you work your other job, and then you go to bed and get up and do it again. So you're on this roll, which is so satisfying, and it's a dream of mine to be able to do. But the first month was nice to take that time to relax, to let injuries heal, to let all the aches and pains get out, to let your body reset, let your life reset. After that first month, it was like, okay, this is going to be more of a long-term, life-changing thing where this isn't just kind of an extended spring break anymore. It's actually going to be around for a while. And that's when I started realizing that this isn't going to be going away, so you need to keep training, keep continuing. So I was able to build at-home studios. I started cross-training really heavily to try and stay in shape, jump roping, running, hiking, just trying to stay active and motivated so that you can keep that role that you built up over the season, where you have the momentum to just keep training and going, and you feel that improvement, you see that improvement.
And what about your schooling? Am I correct that you kind of are doing more now during the pandemic with your schooling? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I decided in March that I would go back to school. I took a year off of school between high school and what was going to be my freshman year of college, but I decided that dancing was what I wanted to do. But when the pandemic hit, I decided you have all this time now that you're not in rehearsals and you're not at the dairy and you're not training. So I said, oh, I'm going to take some prerequisite classes, get all of those mandatory credits out of the way, so when you do go back, you'll have like a less heavy course load. And I ended up finding that I really loved pre-law, so I committed to getting my associates in paralegal and in pre-law. So I decided to go back full-time as a student.
Fundamentally, do you think that the future of the art form is in good shape?
I think that we could have a great possible reconnection with new audiences. That's one. I think that because of the pandemic, like talked about, that arts, whether it's music, theater, ballet, dance, the whole list, that it will bring some light. Arts in general right now needs to be at the top of the list of keeping people, inspired. Hard day at work, you can come home and you can enjoy something that's, that people have missed. And I think one of the things that is taken away from us is the arts. The arts have been taken away from a lot of people, not just the dancers, the musicians, but the people that, support the arts, that want the arts. It's been taken away from everybody. So I think the audiences, not just of Boulder, Colorado, but I think audiences in Colorado itself are hungry for art.
Katherine, what are your thoughts on sort of the future of the art form post-pandemic?
I think they're looking amazing. I was thinking about this the other day. What this pandemic has actually allowed us to do is to create kind of a visibility between the ballet world and, actually, let's call it the art world, and the regular kind of not art world. It's the ability for people to see dancers more as human beings and how this has affected us. There are all of a sudden all these podcasts, virtual shows. So the arts are actually, what is operating is reaching more people now than I think it ever really has. And it's these virtual shows that, you can sit in your own apartment, house, whatever, even your car, and watch on your phone or whatever technology you have a ballet. That really hasn't been the case ever before. We haven't had the technology, we haven't really had the drive or the need to do that. So I think that is going to reach people and connect people with the art forms. And I'm sure that it's the same with instruments and symphonies, that everyone can connect to this. But I think the major change that we're going to see in the next couple of years in the art form itself in dance is this huge connection that's actually happened within the world between artists, choreographers, and dancers. Because before this pandemic, you had to have your entire company in one room with a choreographer in that same room to be able to produce anything. And we didn't have Zoom or Skype or anything like that that would help us to have a choreographer halfway across the world be able to work with us. So all of a sudden you have this huge opportunity for connection, and you can literally work with anyone in the world at any time you want now, which is a huge resource that we haven't been able to have before. You can take 10 dancers from 10 different countries and put them all on one Zoom call and work together and create something, which is incredible. And so that's going to connect people and drive people into the arts as we move out of this pandemic.
Well, listen, you have both done an exceptional job with creating this brand new choreography for the finale of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. And I am really grateful to both of you for putting the time in, working with me. And I have to give a shout out to Craig Stevens, who did an incredible job filming you guys. It's not everybody who can film dancers. So Craig, thank you very much. And also, I know that I speak for everyone on this call that we cannot wait to collaborate again in person. So I look forward to that. I thank you, and we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Let's take a closer look at how to study Beethoven's Seventh Symphony. Now that I have sung through all the parts, I couldn't help but take notice of several details in each part. Here are some examples. Do you see these 4 notes in the violins? I can't sing all 4 notes at once. So that begs the question, can all the violins play all 4 notes at once? To best answer this question, it's easiest if I use my cello to demonstrate. The question is, can all 4 strings be bowed simultaneously? I can come pretty close, but no matter what, I still can't get all 4 notes to speak simultaneously, so I have to break up the notes somehow. The question becomes, do I put the bottom note on the beat or the top note on the beat? the bottom note on the beat sounds like this. And the top note on the beat sounds like this. For several reasons, I like the top note on the beat. But what about the possibility of dividing the notes? The inside players play the bottom notes, while the outside players play the top notes. This may work for a youth orchestra, but certainly not for a professional group. Also, as I was singing through the opening, I had the opportunity to take a very close look at some of the articulations. Here, there are no dots, but in measure 10, there are dots, indicating that the notes are to be played short. Did Beethoven forget to put the dots, or did he assume that the players would play them short because they would be playing short just one beat later? I am a firm believer that Beethoven indicated what he wanted. He could have written dots over those 4 16th notes, but in fact he didn't. So that means that the length of these 4 16th notes must be longer and be played on the string. Wagner called Beethoven's 7th Symphony the apotheosis of dance. Part of the reason for this is Beethoven's use of the Siciliana rhythm, which is long, short, short, long, short, short, dim, ba-dum, bim, ba-da, which gives it a dancing feel. Herr Beethoven! Herr Beethoven, did I say something wrong? You always make me so nervous when you make these dramatic entries.
Wagner and his schmancy-dancy comment. I've heard it all before. You know what is the most important thing about that rhythm?
Please let me know.
What is important about that rhythm is that I wrote it in 3 different ways.
What do you mean?
Let me show you. Here you see, I have written the rhythm without any specifications. The notes would thus be all played long. Next, I have written the rhythm with dots, indicating that they would be played short, almost skipping along. When you turn the page, you can see that I have put rests into the rhythm, making the first note short, but the last note long.
Wow, I never noticed that before. Tell me, were you just getting writer's cramp, or maybe getting tired of writing all those dots and dashes? Maybe you were just getting a little careless.
9! You know, Herr Maestro, I wrote the rhythms differently so that they would be played differently. It is important that people look at the actual markings that I made in order to play my music with integrity. You know, I am sorry that I chased you. Sometimes my temper does get the best of me.
Herr Beethoven, I promise I will continue to look deeply at each and every marking. Herr Beethoven, I have to ask, are you done with your Christmas shopping? I imagine you were quite busy. Maybe I can help you.
Well, since you mentioned it, I wanted to thank you for letting me stay in your basement this long. And in fact, I actually got you a little something.
You did?
Here!
Oh my goodness! A puppy! Where did you find him?
Oh, you know, Rottweilers are from my home in Germany. I thought that it was appropriate. What are you going to name him?
This little boy will be named Rip Van Pumpkin in honor of our beloved pumpkin. Thank you, Herr Beethoven, for this most wonderful Christmas gift. To end our show, I want to go back to a 2018 Longmont Symphony performance of the finale of Tchaikovsky's 4th Symphony. In a letter written to his patroness, Nadezhda von Meck, Tchaikovsky spelled out in detail the motivating concepts behind the symphony. Regarding the 4th movement, he wrote this: "If within yourself you find no reasons for joy, look at others. Go among the people, observe how they can enjoy themselves, surrendering themselves wholeheartedly to joyful feelings. hardly have you managed to forget yourself and to be carried away by the spectacle of others' joys, then irresponsible fate again appears and reminds you of yourself. But do not say that everything in this world is sad. Rejoice in others' rejoicing. To live is still possible. A special thanks to Matt and Catherine from the Boulder Ballet, my dear friend Craig Stevens for his experience and expertise in filming dancers, and of course to the wonderful musicians of the Longmont Symphony Orchestra for sharing their talents with all of us. From my home to yours, we wish you a beautiful holiday season.